So we've been investigating this teaching, Geshe Langpa Tangpa's 8 verses of thought transformation, which give us the advice of just exactly what to do. And then, of course, we have to unpack how to do what to do. So it's the text is on page 85 in this Lama Chökyi book. So we've been, sort of investigating these verses, and so we'll continue on with that today. And please feel free to jump in and, well, I might invite you to add some examples or raise obstacles, questions, things like that, or answers are great too. What's been successful for you in any of these scenarios? Okay. Alrighty, so there are a few different versions of the 8 verses, each verse. So we're looking at number 3, vigilant. Vigilant, the moment a delusion appears in my mind, the moment a delusion appears in my mind, endangering myself and others, I shall confront and avert it without delay. So in the different translations, sometimes little bits of emphasis may be missed. So in this one, which comes from your readings, it says, in all actions, I shall examine my mind, and the moment an unsubdued thought arises, endangering myself and others, saying, I shall face and avert it. So slightly different nuances. And what I've read, face and avert it. Face.
What was the little bit just before that?
I'll say it all again. In all actions, I shall examine my mind, and the moment an unsubdued thought arises, endangering myself and others, which is the same as in here, I shall face and avert it. All right, so we'll come back to the one you have in front of you because it'll be easiest. So vigilant. So this idea of vigilant. So this is about cultivating conscientiousness, mindful awareness, because it's asking us to recognize when a delusion appears in our mind. So usually when a delusion appears in our mind, we could say a negative state of mind, a toxic emotion, however we want to label that, an afflicted state of mind. And, those of you who, would you like to get some water? It's empty. Oh, okay. So yes, right at the beginning of the Discovering Buddhism course, even though people can come along for whichever module or part of, but the very first one, Mind and Its Potential, and now it starts to make sense, is that looking at the different afflicted states of mind, not just the, we call mental factors. So of course, there are positive states of mind. That's what we want to develop. There are the disturbing states of mind, which disturb myself and others, endanger myself and others. And there are those that can be either or, depending on our motivation. So you could say something like sleep is a neutral mental factor. But if I go to sleep angry, suddenly it becomes negative. If I go to sleep, visualizing the Buddha above my head and think, blah, 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 having done my Vajrasattva practice, feeling clean, clear, like that, then that's virtue. I'm sleeping in virtue. So, of course, there are some that are by nature negative, but some by nature positive, some by nature are neither or. But the motivation makes a difference. And there are others as well, but let's not revisit that whole thing. Of course, here we're looking at the negative things, the positive. Thank you very much. I just want more because it makes me feel good. And that's what we want. We want to feel the ultimate good, happiness, and so forth. So vigilant is cultivating this mindfulness, like a, to notice, aha, my mind's not feeling happy. Even we can't label it. Whoops, something here. Right. So that's the first step. The moment a delusion appears in my mind. So even we don't know what it is yet, danger zone, endangering myself and others. And what do we mean by endangering ourselves and others? So endangering ourselves is that, okay, the thought arises, the thought precedes the word and that precedes the deed. So that idea that if I don't keep a check of this in my mind, I won't point there, wherever you point for mind is everywhere. But if I don't get a check on this, it's going to get out of control, and then it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's going to have a negative impact. It'll come out in my speech in regrettable ways. It'll come out in my actions in unskillful actions, and then I've created a problem for others. But at the level of thought, even endangering myself, what am I endangering? We could say in the immediate, I'm endangering at least the equanimity, peacefulness of the mind, because it rattles out any negative emotion, sort of rattles us, doesn't it? Well, maybe not initially, we don't notice the rattling, but this is where it's saying training to, as soon as possible, to shine the light of awareness on that. So, when 2012 was in Phuket, and we were doing a training called Cultivating Emotional Balance. We're doing the teacher training for that. And part of it was presenting the meditations from a Buddhist perspective, and the other part from a psychology perspective is how soon can we shine the light of awareness on our emotions, and so how early can we intervene to counteract it? Because the earlier we can notice it, then it's when it's got less power. It hasn't sort of come out in, well, I go immediately to anger and hold my fist, and it doesn't come out in the punch and the scream and the kick and the whatever. I go, I see a slight irritation. So I've got to be able to then identify what it is. Slight irritation arising here in my mind. And not think, oh, that's okay, because I'm always slightly irritable. It's not okay. It's a danger zone. So we have to see it. First, it's totally about we cause our own suffering. That's totally we cause our own suffering. And then we've got to think, why do I want to make myself suffer? It's not what I want. Why make myself unhappy? I mean, that's one way we can think. But we don't think like that because we don't think it's optional. That's what they say. Pain is pain. Suffering is an option. That sort of idea. So then I shall examine my mind. So that's recognizing, yep, my mind's not in a good, healthy state. And the moment an unsubdued thought arises, or the moment a delusion appears, same delusion, unsubdued thought, toxic emotion, you put that in. I confront and avert it. I shall confront and avert it without delay. So recognizing what? Recognizing that my experience of, let's say, a difficult situation. Go for it, Susan.
A car cuts right.
Yes.
And obscenities pour from my mouth. Oh, that's very nice.
So a car cutting in front of you. I call that, yeah.
And then I tone down the obscenities. I think, well, I'm still angry. I think, well, that's angry because you think you should not be doing that to you.
because it's my lane after all, and I own the road. It's something like that. How dare anyone cut across me?
Yeah. And I think, well, if I was in a different frame of mind, how
Yes.
might I have responded to that?
Excellent. That's a good question. If I was in a different frame of mind, and what did you come to the conclusion?
Well, I thought, you know, like if I was feeling all peaceful and loving and connected, you know, like I just think, oh, he's in a hurry this morning.
Exactly. Peaceful, connected. This is you practicing the Dharma in your Dharma mobile.
Yeah, not Dharma.
We do call it a Mahayana vehicle.
So then I think, so that kind of changed the whole, but I had to go through this whole.
Yeah, but you did. You went through the steps. You didn't get stuck there. Yeah, well, you know.
But then I think, well, I was helped to get there, you know, as well, by what was happening in here as well as the other stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then I just think it's that more neutral place of thinking, oh, he's in a hurry.
Good. Oh, well, he's in a hurry. You let it go. You didn't hold on and you didn't build it up more. You know, that's what we do when the sort of afflicted state of mind arises. And then we go, you know, and then we talk to our friends about it and we blah, 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 blah. We build it up, you know, more and more and more.
And I think the best
yeah.
bit was thinking, if I wasn't feeling like, you know, like if I was feeling differently, how would this change?
Yes, if I was feeling differently, how would this change? And that is what the Buddha talked about, liberation, freedom from that, being hijacked by that toxic emotion, freedom from that. That is what is called liberation, right? And so I have freedom to choose, as you say. What if I had a different state of mind? How would this scenario play out? That's excellent. That's really gold star. And then as I was early days going along to Buddhist talks, and this, I'm really grateful to this guy because ever since I've quoted him, the only thing I remember from his talk was, if you want to develop on the spiritual path, give way in the traffic. And so slowly going from, well, it's probably not inherently my lane and maybe I'll let one car in today. And so progressively getting to the point of, what did you say? He's maybe in a hurry, like actually seeing it from the other person's point of view. So now I happily go, well, please don't have a heart attack. You go. So, you know, but it takes a long time to get to that point. So this moment that you had, this guy cut, I always call it fried green tomatoes moment. So I don't know if you've watched Fried Green Tomatoes. It was a long time ago. But the woman is coming into the car park and she gets cut across and she bangs into her car, into the young people who cut across. She bangs into their car. Nobody's hurt. And they were like, we were here first. And she said, yeah, but I've got more insurance. Or something like that. I've got insurance. And it's just that. So I always had that in my mind. Whatever you do, don't cut across like that. But then I found myself in a shopping centre feeling so good that I hadn't got irritated on the road in Sydney. And I had my fried green tomatoes moment. And I felt my mind going. I was like, for a week now, I've been driving along very nicely and, you know, come on in. And then boom. So we get tested. But it's developing on the spiritual path. So, yeah, 1, 2.
Why isn't that when we're at our most calmest, our most relaxed, wonderfully peaceful state of mind? Like, oh, this is really good that I've achieved this, and then bang, something happens.
It is that, you know, I'm at my most relaxed state of mind, and then something happens because we're not being vigilant. Yes, we are relaxed and everything's going along nicely. And I want to stay in this nice zone, and boom, and a shock happens because our mind isn't not disengaged, but it isn't, the mindfulness is not there. That awareness of this may not last. So it says the moment it arises, so that anything can change in any moment. So we grasp onto a sense of permanence, that it's always going to be nice and calm like this, and that should be my ground state. It should be your ground state. But then we're not prepared for the moment when we encounter a situation, excuse me, my lane, why did you do that, on the road? I mean, we could say, oh, thank you, you're making me a better driver, or a more aware driver. You know, there's many ways we can transform that situation. So it is, we sense that, oh, this has disturbed my equilibrium. And it's my equilibrium, thank you very much. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But it's not being attached to my outcome. And we're not even aware we have the outcome in mind until it gets confronted. Yeah.
What I think is really interesting is how we want it to continue.
Yes, we want it to continue. We've got this sense of permanence, and nothing does. Correct. Moment, every moment it could be completely different situation.
To navigate that is really,
Yeah, it's difficult. It is very difficult. This is why this is deep end of the pool, this training, because it takes a lot of courage to actually confront our habitual ways of thinking, acting, behaving. Yeah, well, we all have the, you know, they say, you know, the Buddha said, we live in a desire realm. So attachment's the number one. And then when attachment doesn't get what it wants, then the anger comes, right? Or gets what it doesn't want, then the anger comes. So we toggle between those mostly all the time. No, you have.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, you were saying the other driver may have been in a hurry. Having been someone who's had to rush someone to hospital, you could perhaps think, oh, maybe there's, you know, maybe that he's got some drama. This was a black SUV. Doesn't matter.
A black SUV might have to see, we label, they might be.
not in my books.
And how old the driver is and what gender, and oh my God, we go for it, don't we? We create stories for other people.
But yeah, I was thinking it may help to give the other driver a bit of a doubt.
They've got some backstory.
Well, we don't know their backstory. That's the thing. We only see what's in front of us. And excuse me, it's all about me because I'm the center of my own universe. So it's not
And
having.
of course, we can give ourselves any story that helps us.
We do give ourselves any story that helps us. It's
I
totally
mean,
true.
positive.
Yeah. No, well, you did. You transformed it and gave yourself a positive story and a positive outcome, right? Otherwise, you would have come to meditation and you would have been rattled.
Yes. And I'm
And
going
then
to notice all black SUV cars around and see how they drive on the road.
We're all going to get obsessive about black SUVs and see what they do on the road. And then you won't notice the little white put. You can have fun. I mean, I think it's a wonderful, I mean, turning the car into Dharma Bill is really great, you know. It's really fun. When things are going well, you can do your Om Mani Padme Hums and bless all the beings in your car and outside and the ones under your tires and everything.
You can do it in the bus or on the train.
Bus, train, walking, don't worry, there's a lot of Dharma practice too. And that's what it says here, like, that's why I like it where it says, this one, is it? In all actions or all activities. So in everything that we do of the day, driving, we didn't say that because I didn't have cars, but walking, you know, going somewhere, sleeping, sitting, basically every activity. So ultimately it's saying to be vigilant or mindful in every single moment of the day, and already my mind gets squeezed and I think, oh my gosh, that's a tall order every single moment. But when we notice the moments like that, and the next thing you do, because we've been giving you a gold star, we've rejoiced, we've laughed at it. So we've keep diffusing the situation and just really. So that's a very good outcome, very good approach. So, okay. So this, yes, please, Rob. No, it's great.
This verse says about afflictive delusion.
Yeah.
But the same applies for positive.
No.
It's about like
you don't have to
cling on to positive.
That's attachment. So we have to realize what is positive and what is not. So the clinging on to wanting things to last is a delusion because things don't, because everything's impermanent, moment by moment, everything's changing. So by grasping onto, we could say, wrong views, then we're causing ourselves, endangering ourselves as well with that because we're confusing our mind. Yeah. So that's the ignorance factor, the ignorance of impermanence, that things change moment by moment. And we don't even realize, of course, we're going to say intellectually, we're totally aware of that, but watch how we act in relation to when things change. For example, there's going to be some changes happening around here.
Yes,
and it's going to be interesting to see how people respond to change. You know, first and last teaching of the Buddha, yet we haven't got it yet. You know, people are.
I find the more I kind of immerse myself into Dharma and teachings, the more I realize there's so much opportunity every day.
Absolutely. Continual opportunity every day.
And then I might be aware of the really obvious, I call them a high and a low, for example, but not afflictive states.
Yeah, so intense afflictive states, when it's more coarse, more manifest.
More aware of the peaks and the troughs, for example.
Yes, peaks and troughs.
But meanwhile, there's all these other subtle.
Yeah, there's the white noise, isn't it?
It's wisdom even to realise that, Rob.
But it's the white noise we want to get, the subtle ones, because this is where we have got some control over it. I mean, even at a situation where you could feel that manifest in your mind, it didn't come out in action, you know. You didn't get out and bang a guy's car or
I had a car thing too. Like every time.
There's always car things.
But there I was driving and there's a car behind me really fast, but you're going to do something. You're going to go past, cut me off. I could just tell.
Yeah.
And this past is tailgating somebody else. I thought, no, just don't. A continual thing of me being aware of me reacting.
Yeah.
Then he cut through and did
crazy stuff, crazy driving.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Was it a black SUV?
Oh my God. Now I have to call it a black SUV moment. It's got to change, update it.
But then I was thinking about it. Driving is an opportunity where you can practice generosity.
Yes, practice generosity, practice patience. I mean, you can practice all of the perfections, right?
Got more compassion towards him.
Excellent. Excellent.
Not what a shame, but he's missing all of these other cars. It could have been a black SUV. All these other cars could be responding.
Yeah.
In a negative way.
Yeah. So
he's in a hurry or wants to be first.
Well, we don't know he might be rushing to the hospital with his black SUV. You never know.
But even though he's suffering, isn't he?
He's suffering.
He's in a rush. He's so
and that's the thing. That's the thing to say. I don't want you to have so much stress, so I'm going to back off.
Yes.
Please come in. Please do what you need to do, but do it safely. Oh, really?
So I'm very anybody who it's like
I'm pleased you let go.
Let you go by because no, he's probably anxious, upset. We don't know what's going on for anyone. It
part of
does.
Investigation.
What,
What is it with me and black SUVs?
what is it with you in black SUVs? But what it is we label everything, you know, how someone looks, so they're definitely blah, blah. We tell stories all the time. Black SUVs, another blah, blah. Now we've all got the black SUV thing. I'm like, thank you. No. You have to find that guy and say, could you respray, respray your car? We place these stereotypes. So we label things all the time, and then we respond to our label we've made up. You know, I was speaking to a woman on Friday, and, you know, anyway, and we're talking down, and she goes, my mind is made up. And I was so clever. My mind is made up. I was really clever. She just said it like that, very deadpan. And I'm like, that's great. I'm going to use that. So there you go. Huh? No. This is a different example. Did she say that?
Because you said something that something that your mind had made up, and she picked up on that.
Oh, was it her? Okay, it was yesterday. It was Tanya. I can let go of it. Have to be Friday. To be that person.
Puts a whole new perspective on that phrase.
Yeah.
It does. Isn't it clever?
Yeah, and it was really good between the two of you.
Yeah, it's
You
really
picked it
clever.
out,
My mind
yeah.
is made up. Yeah. That'll have to be a topic.
My one today. Don't believe what your mind is telling you.
Yes, don't believe what your mind's telling you. Yeah, you do not. You do not have to believe what your mind's telling you. And yeah, so wow, so that's so we investigate, particularly at those times. And this comes back to your example, what Yvonne asked, and so forth. Is that a time when we don't recognize it, but we're very selfish and preoccupied with ourselves. So I'm preoccupied with having my lovely, calm, peaceful time because it feels very pleasant, and I want, you know, I want that, and I want more of that. Thank you very much. And then something oppositional happens, and we're just like, we're stuck in our way of the world should be all like this. Look around, folks. The world is not all like that. So one thing you can do is rejoice that you had nice, calm, peaceful time for that moment. Like, you know, the guy I first started visiting, when I started visiting prisons, the first guy I visited, and he said, there I was sitting in meditation, all very calm, peaceful, just like this. And then he said, and the next moment, my cellmate really pissed me off. And I said, well, at least you had that time when you were doing that, which you never noticed before. So you could enjoy that. So we could say that's a ripening of our virtuous karma from past lives. So our experiences are moments ripening of karma that related to past lives. And you could say these situations we're describing are pretty innocuous. So it's not heavy stuff. It's just a light stuff ripening. But at the same time, and this is where we're endangering ourselves, we're laying down the imprints on our mind for future experiences. So if I don't like that experience, I don't want to have more of that. So what am I doing? Not only getting, you know, my mind getting rattled now, but habituating myself to that so that I'm going to continue to experience that rather than the moment recognize I'm in danger. I am in danger. And if I don't do something about it, I'm going to endanger others. Did you have your hand up?
Right.
Oh, good.
And that's kind of where you were this morning with your card. It's like you were already aware that you've got the sense that something's going to happen. You're already from a warning already.
Yeah.
So you can almost prepare yourself to do whatever you do. You know, like, but do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's another step
Yeah.
of awareness back there somewhere.
Yeah.
Seeing it coming out of that field.
And yeah, seeing it coming, And we can train in this, like Lama Zopa Rinpoche said one time, if, you know, to go to the shopping mall, or the shops, always sounds American when I say shopping mall. Shopping centre. Yeah, it is American, isn't it? Shopping mall. I was once in the US where we were at a conference and people were going out because there was a new shopping mall opening, and that aversion of it. That's the mind of attachment. You know, so watch yourself going there. Go around the shops. Well, no, go there. Sorry. Watch that desire mind, that mind of attachment, but don't buy. I mean, buy what's on your shopping list, you know, but just observe the eyes go, isn't it? Oh, we stop and linger and look at the colour or the this or the that. It's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's just to simply observe where we're doing this all the time, that our mind is always craving. And this, you know, we can relate to the 12 links of independent origination, you know, that especially, you know, the desirous craving, and then what comes next is grasping. That's when we do buy it, and now it's mine. It's mine. It's buy brand new car and Mr. Black SUV. Don't you dare ding it, because it's my perfect new car. Right? I remember when I wanted I did. I bought a new car only once in my life. And that's fine. But my friends called it the untouchable girl, because I was like, don't scratch, don't this, don't that. And it's like, but you live in Sydney. Stuff's going to happen. No, it's untouchable. Little did I know, the moment you drive it out of the car yard, already 3,000 or 4,000 has dropped off the...
And the rest now.
And the rest, however much it is. It's just like, nothing's happened to it. It's like, but you've driven out onto the road, so the value goes down. So don't be attached.
Story. She bought a new car, and the first day she drove it, someone dinged it.
Someone dinged it very first day. So this is that whole expectation that we have. Excuse me, this is my new car. So these are these moments when the sense of self and grasping are very strong, right? So, you know, it can get us in such danger. When I was a teenager and working at Kmart, had just opened, I think, in Australia. Anyway, one was just in walking distance from my house, so I was old enough to get a job there. 14 years, not a month. And I saw people at the sales fighting over objects, to the point that these two women wouldn't let go. They'd grab the same toy car, and eventually one of them ripped it, and the other woman's hand was bleeding. And it's like, how far will people go for a toy car that's on sale? Well, clearly, like, shall I say, toilet paper, toilet rolls, you know, people fighting over COVID. Oh, you didn't have it. See, that doesn't work here.
I
You
think
did.
East Coast people were rioting to get things like toilet paper and baby food.
I heard that somebody bought so much that they tried then subsequently, just after the crisis. Yeah, and they got into trouble. They bought too much. But yeah, this is the craziness of our mind. So we look at that around attachment. And so then we look at, well, what's the antidote to that? I have to do more than just go into a shopping centre and, you know, see my attachment grasping. Please intervene.
But I also noticed that I do I have done a kind of opposite thing, where I don't allow myself the pleasure of enjoying an object, because it's like, you can't.
Oh, that's a whole different.
Yeah, I know, I realise that.
Yeah.
It's like the other side of.
So that's not the attachment. That is self-denigrating,
Yes, exactly.
self-denigrating.
Setting a sort of boundary for yourself, it's not really real.
Yeah, we create boundaries all the time. Look at the whole world. There are country boundaries and and again with COVID over East, where they just changed the boundary, New South Wales and Queensland, and said, oh, well, we'll have to change it and create these bubbles. So you're creating a boundary to deprive yourself, let's say,
It's like,
to give yourself a
I
bad
can,
time.
yes, like I can actually look at this object, derive a certain amount of pleasure from it. And if I don't get into having to have it, or
Yeah.
I can get enjoyment from the colour, or the
Yeah.
sheer.
Yeah,
art
the
of it,
touch,
you know what I
everything.
mean?
All the senses.
If I don't have to then go into. Do you get what I
Yes,
mean?
yeah.
And I've only just noticed this.
Yeah, you
more
just
about myself.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, like just more, I'd like to bring more enjoyment, you know, in whatever form. It doesn't
Brilliant,
mean I've got a-
because that's a counteractive state of mind, and that's how we have to confront. Well, confront is to recognize and stop it, but then avert it is say, well, what's the opposite state of mind? Which is a positive state of mind. So this is what you're doing. This is transforming problems, you know, or our negative states of mind, that we can transform it to something positive. Okay, I don't need to have it. I can just enjoy the texture, the color, the this, the that, and I'm free of.
Maybe rejoice that, oh, I'm so pleased I got to see that and enjoy it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, when I was in Sydney and I used to lead meditation in the suburbs, basically. And so there we were in the Tibet Sydney gallery, which was actually a shop that had the most beautiful, exquisite carpets and cloths. And they let us use their venue at night for meditation. And so people coming in for meditation, they'd be like, and they wanted us to, like, I always encourage people to lie down. And they were very happy to lie down on these plush, beautiful carpets, because this is what they do. They don't put them out of the way. They say, walk on it. You know, I think Persian carpets, it's the same thing. So people would happily lie down, but then when they'd come in, they'd stroke all the cloths and everything. They weren't going to have them. Nobody bought anything. It's just the sensual enjoyment. But if we grasp at that sensual enjoyment, like the very calm, peaceful time, if we grasp at that, that's where it's a problem. So we can enjoy and say, well, that was nice. I had that enjoyable moment, but let it go. And that's cutting across our grasping mind.
Remembering now, actually, as a child, we go window shopping.
Window shopping.
My family was big on window shopping.
Yeah, well, you go and you thought, oh, I like that one. Oh, no, I have that one. But there wasn't any.
You were never going to buy.
You were never going to buy it. Well,
you can do it, you can enjoy it all and say, well, I love that one. Right. But it's like a whole different atmosphere now.
it is, because, I mean, when I was young and we did window shopping, there were all these amazing displays, you know. They make me into beautiful displays, and not for a particular day, not just Christmas or whatever, just all the time. There was like really lovely displays. So just like, let's go to David Jones. Well, not inside, just look at the displays outside. Yvonne. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You see the beauty that you never had in your life before. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But I can still get pleasure when you talk about it.
Well, at first it's pleasure, and then if we don't watch the mind, it's grasping at that, you know, whether to have or, you know, I must have that. Usually our mind does something like that. And so attachment in relation to, let's say, inappropriate attention to the gorgeous body, or the body we label gorgeous. And so this is generally, and it can relate to the gorgeous anything, the ugliness of the object, right? And you think, why would I do that? It's gorgeous, you know. But if we're looking at it in relation to our own body or another person's body, there's a whole bunch of meditations that Buddha taught in relation to the ugliness of the body, because we are so attached to the body beautiful. I mean, maybe not us, but but the well, of course we want to make it look nice. As Lama Yeshe said, other people have to see you and look at you. So make yourself look nice for others, because you know they were all like in the hippies in the early 70s, and come and hear their teachings, and so then they would like, you know, not make themselves look nice because that was all frivolous. He was saying, no, I have to look at you. Make yourself look beautiful. Like we were on pilgrimage with the amazing Miffy.
Oh, yes.
If you haven't seen Miffy, she's tall, she's very colourful, including her hair. It's always bright pink or bright something, but
she wears beautiful bright clothes and beautiful
incredible
jewelry.
But the reason, because she came from a sort of theatre background, she was costume designer and so forth. But anyway, so her Lama Zopa Rinpoche told her to make her hair beautiful and offer it up to the Buddhas, you know. So she likes doing that. So there's something you like doing. You don't necessarily have to change that, but make it an offering, of course, you know. So, yeah, so we can cut across this mind. Well, I mustn't do that because I'm being a Buddhist now. You know, Buddhists don't have fun. They do. Yeah. Yes. Attachment to objects. Yes. So we haven't finished on this one.
I read, just read Marie Kondo's book about the life-changing magic of hiding.
Oh, Kondo effect of Kondo. Yeah.
So like minimalising.
Yeah, downsizing.
And all her approach is all about mindfulness, and she says that getting rid of all the things that you don't need with one clears the mind. And
yes.
If you surround yourself just with the objects that you enjoy, then that's a much better state for you to be in. And I find as well that I found that that's true. The less objects I have in my house, the happier I feel.
Yes.
I feel like really appreciative of the objects I have and I enjoy them, but for some reason I feel less attached.
Yes. It's wonderful for the mind. I mean, it's wonderful for the place, but it's wonderful for the mind to have this sense of, yeah, I've got more stuff than I need, than I want, and certainly than I enjoy, right? And to recognize that, and this is a letting go. This is letting go of attachment of stuff. You know, when my father was towards the end of his life, because my mother said he always talked in his sleep, so they didn't have any secrets. He was talking in his sleep. I don't think they ever did have any secrets. Anyway, from what I observed. But she said he'd be saying in his sleep, stuff. It was just like, I don't want to be dying saying stuff. Sense of attachment. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a good thing because it creates a clearer space, an enjoyable space where you can think, these are things I like and enjoy. You're transforming it into a pure land. Toward the things that you have. When you observe that, you observe that. You know, if somebody breaks your gorgeous object, watch what the mind does. No, true. Or it stops functioning or whatever. Can we just say, well, that's the nature of things, impermanence and so forth? Or do we go into denial and think, no, it's still good? But, you know, it's a very big step towards that. It pleases the Buddhas. And they've got more space to hang out in. So the Dalai Lama is a very good example. He said, because, you know, people give him things all the time. It might be like Lama Zopa Rinpoche and pass everything on and they never touch the hands. But he says, if I haven't used something for 6 months. And he's not talking about whether I like it or not, because that's not on his radar. It's if I haven't used it in 6 months, out it goes. So that's a non-attachment. It's just like, well, it's not serving a function here. Right. Well, it's okay to be ornate, but we could also say, you know what? I mean, when I look at this altar, I think it needs a bit of minimalising, right? So that the idea is that your altar, it doesn't have to be bare, but again, you apply the same principles. Marie Kondo your altar. And saying, well, those things have gone there because I acquired them or so forth, but actually, what do I actually want? You know, I'm going to be looking at it the whole time. What makes my mind happy? Absolutely, you can do that. Yeah.
It's the kind of celebration.
It's celebration,
What
yes.
you were saying about
Yes, offer everything. Yeah.
So I can see it from that perspective, like more the better, really.
Well, in one sense, there's more the better, but on another sense, it's like, but what's the impression for people coming in to this space? And everyone's going to have a different attitude about that, you know, different idea about that. And of course, then we have the wonderful advice from Geshe Zopa. It says, now do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. So it's in constant process, which is a nice thing because that life is like that.
I think too, we found, I mean, I'm sure there's symbolism.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of symbolism. Yeah. Like, for example, symbolism, if we look at those banners there, which was exactly according to the advice of Geshe Zopa, that we have the 8 auspicious signs. So 8 auspicious signs, you'll often find in a gompa, and in fact, they say to put on your altar. And, you know, I had a little decal one before, and so I didn't have the 8 auspicious signs put out like that, but I had a little circular, like a mandala. So small, in other words. But they're very good for harmony. So we can talk harmony in the environment, in the community, and so forth.
These are the wall hanging ones?
Yeah, the wall hanging ones.
It's also on his door curtain.
Yeah, so they're in a few places. So yeah, Lama Zopa would go into gompas and say, you need to have some 8 auspicious signs for harmony.
And we have them up in the altar in front of
Over here, yeah.
yeah, front of Guru.
Yeah. So that, yes, you're correct. It's a symbolism, but if that symbolism isn't meaningful to you, it's okay not to have, right? It's like, well, I don't, you know, of course you want to learn about things that you don't know about, but also, yeah. But anyway, it doesn't work for you. So you can just look at that. I know, you know, I was just this morning, I've done this many times in my mind, just take everything off the altar and just start with what you want there. Not where is this going to fit, but what you want there.
Are you talking about your personal?
Yeah, yeah, just downsize.
Funny, having just come back from overseas, I looked at my room and went, I've got too much stuff.
Yeah, got too much stuff. I know, it's freaky. It just sort of accumulates without you even knowing. It's just like, how does that do that? Yeah, I saw one of those shows, and it was, but I realised they were IKEA, because everything got IKEA'd. Whoever that show was, 2 guys, somebody here told me about it, so I watched it.
IKEA does have a lot of good storage stuff.
No, but I realised, like, these people were getting their downsizing of their space, and so these people would come in and do that, remove everything and put the 2 guys, death cleaning. There you go. Swedish death cleaning. Yeah.
Very cool.
You do Swedish death cleaning. Well, we don't know when we're going to die, so any time's good, right?
I do it anytime.
No, but I mean, the
It's spring, it's time to do it, isn't it? Spring cleaning.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
Yes, spring cleaning. Yeah. Okay, so, you know, we look at, coming back to this verse, so anger, for example, oh, I was doing the ugliness of the body because if I'm attached to this body, I'm very attached to this body. We're all very attached to our bodies. But if I, you know, peeled off a bit of skin and left it on the shelf for a while, within a couple of days, I think it would look pretty awful. Yes, it has. Thankfully, I'm not even going with that, repeating that. So, and this is like a meditation to do, realize, well, what are we saying? Where does the beauty lie? Is it at the level of the skin? You know, so if I peel the skin off, where's the beauty? You know, and so it's a meditation of taking things apart. I can apply it to the body. You know, of course, they say, you know, pile up the bones and what do you think about the bile and all the substances once you take the skin off, etc., etc., etc. Conclusion is you say, well, it's not so, I'm not so attached to all of that. Well, I am, but you know, beauty is really only skin deep and in the eye of the perceiver, so that changes. So when we say we want to take care of the body, what are we taking care of? Skin or actually having a healthy body? I think there's a lot about healthy body, but then we get attached to the body. Like one of the nuns who passed away at Chenrezig Institute, and she'd been living with cancer for 15 years at that point. And she thought she was getting the all clear, and instead she got the, you've got 3 months to live. And at that point, she decided to stop trying to control everything that was going into her body, because now I've got to focus on the mind. Really, you know, it brings you up like that good focus. But we have to wait for such a scenario to realize, well, actually, it's the mind I need to make, you know, beautiful mind, not like the movie one, you know, actual, you know, and this is what we're here for. This is what is the practice, sort of cultivating the positive qualities and recognizing that any negative arising of any negative state of mind is endangering myself now and in the future. And if I don't keep it in check, it endangers others. And so we can go through each one of, so what would be the immediate opposite mind to anger? So in general, we'd say love, because anger is a very coarse, very disturbing state of mind, and love softens the heart, opens our heart up. You know, we can be angry with ourselves. We probably are our worst enemy in that department, but then anger towards others. So either, you know, but the other big antidote is patience, and this applies to the road rage, is cultivating patience. So in general, in terms of Dharma practice, it says have patience with illness, patience with yourself and your Dharma practice. Don't beat yourself up for what you're not doing, rejoice in what you are doing, and patience when adversity comes, which is what this whole module is about, of transforming those problems. So, however, you know, for any affliction, deluded states of mind, toxic emotion, use whatever label you want, that arises, the main one is realizing, well, on one side, dependent arising, that everything arises due to causes and conditions. And then whatever our understanding of karma that says, well, actually, right now, this came from my own mind. So there are causes and conditions. It wasn't out there, it was in here. Or that in some previous time, it came from unskillful actions, and I'm experiencing the result of that. And that's really hard to actually apply in the moment. I think more recognizing I have an option for how to respond here. That gives us a freedom. That gives us the ability to step back and going, this is only going to escalate if I keep going down this track, or it's only going to give me a bad day and I don't want a bad day. Whatever's going to work for us, interrogate and ask ourselves questions and then think, what can I do about it? What can I do about it? May you be well, may you be happy. Please come into the lane. Please get safely to your destination. So acts of kindness, transforming it into kindness. And this is all training. And I would suggest the reasons that you are able to do that is because you've been exposed to these ideas and you're able to put it into effect very effectively, right? So then we rejoice. Ha, this stuff works. I feel better for it. Yeah.
And also because I realised how much suffering.
Yes, how much suffering.
And,
Yes. Yeah.
and these teachings.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. We can't ask for better than that sort of recognition that I know the consequences of this. So we're using both our wisdom mind and our say compassion mind. Having compassion, you mentioned compassion towards the person. And so, yeah. And of course, the most subtle is to think about it's all empty of inherent existence. Dare I say, I labelled it black SUV guy, person. See, I label guy because it must be a guy doing that, right? Absolutely. This is. So that label, there's no inherent black SUV guy out there. Yeah. No, it's all our picture now. Now we share that.
I'm resisting, but
good.
Since there's been a whole generation grow up with computer games, young women can drive as poorly as young men. No, it has to go out there.
Yeah. So in a way, we're looking at, well, what, because sometimes people say, but it's good to express anger.
I think
and there's not. It's not.
I think in the sense of allowing it to be there, like, oh, that's a bit extreme, like, if I said, disregarded that.
No, that's pushing it down. That's ignoring it and pretending it's not there. That's denial.
And then finding out what actually neutralizes.
Yes, what neutralizes it.
Do that.
Yeah.
Like, just transforming the words, that wasn't enough,
No.
I had to keep going through those steps.
Yeah.
To get to that point that I got to.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people think we shouldn't get angry in the sense of don't ever do that, rather than, oh, see what's there.
Well, this is acceptance, is acknowledging what is there, but not letting it stay there and not letting it grow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different mindset that says, oh, there goes anger. Ooh. And the Dalai Lama said, he wrote Healing Anger, the book Healing Anger. He said to deal with anger in his own mind. But also when he was questioned, Rachel Kahn, quite some years ago now, when there was a particular clampdown in Tibet, and she said, don't you get angry when you see what's happening to your country? He said, I observe anger arise. I observe it fade away 1 minute. The reason I can do that is because since I was 6 years old, I've meditated. In other words, not getting cognitively fused with the anger, not getting hijacked by the anger. Just go, aha, like this, vigilant the moment it arises. So he goes, there's anger. So, when someone, or we say ourselves, or someone says to us, you're angry, and go, no, I'm not. Or maybe we don't do that anymore because we've done our Dharma teachings. But if you say it to someone else, don't. It never works, right? You're angry. Most people will deny that rather than go, do you know what? You're right. We don't do that, do we? Sometimes I rejoice. You know what? You're right. I'm going to do something about that. So the more,
Also, with the time going on, saying, I've done this since I was 6 years old.
yes,
It gives you some idea.
of it, it's a long haul.
Yeah, that's
It's
a long
possible.
haul. Yeah.
It's possible. And rather than say, oh, well, I'm not 6 years old and it's never going to work for me, is to say, actually, well, I've still got breath. I can do it. And then every time you do it, rejoicing in that and going, well, I'm improving. And recognize that. Look back a year, look back 2 years, look back however many years. And, well, I'm a lot better than I was then. So we can check our development. So, and this is all on the basis, not because they're my friends, not because, you know, I'm going to see them at work or whatever else, you know, that would be embarrassing. I always think, I never know when I'm going to encounter this person again. I've always thought that, so be careful how I interact with them, because I could encounter them again, and that could be a very embarrassing situation if I'm not skillful about it. So that, you know, whatever works for us to help keep a track on our mind, but then, you know, with the afflictions, knowing the specific antidote to apply. Like, for example, jealousy, the antidote is rejoicing. You know, oh, you went on pilgrimage to Indonesia? I'm so jealous. No, you're not. You're rejoicing. That's what I say to people when they say, I'm jealous. I do. I say, no, you're not. You're rejoicing. You're rejoicing. And because in sense of karma, well, you know, karma ripened for that to happen for certain people, not everyone. Maybe not everyone was interested, and that makes it easier, but, you know, like that. So it is a thing of acceptance, and acceptance, not to beat ourselves up. It's saying, yeah, I'm a work in progress. I'm not a Buddha, but I aim to get there one day. Seems too far away right now. That's probably very valid. However, I'm taking steps to transform my mind, because if I just think about, even in this life, I want to have this peace, this calm, this joy, this love. I want to have a healthy mental health, you know, a good state of mind, because with that, we can do anything. Not physically with the body that's getting old, but with our mind. And I also think, well, what's the only thing I'm taking with me? It's my mental continuum. You know, I'm not taking this body. It can happily leave that behind. But yeah, it's the mental continuum. So it's sort of like, well, I want as much opportunity for positivity in this life. So creating the foundations for that. Okay, let me see. Vigilant, the moment a delusion appears in my mind. Appears is I see it in my mind. I have to, if I don't interrogate, I won't see it. Endangering myself and others, I shall confront and avert it without delay. So the other part about without delay is that if I don't do something right now, and that negativity festers in there, then karma increases, and the more time I leave it there, the more damage it's going to have, the more I'm going to experience the consequences. And also, if I don't keep it in check now, it's going to lead to those, you know, the speech and actions that I then have to go and make amends for, because I'm so sorry I stuffed up. And then when, you know, it's good to recognize as well what particular negative states of mind am I particularly habituated to. I think the whole world, our whole world, anger is a big one. Well, we could say the two, desire and anger. For some people, pride. For some people, jealousy. For some people, doubt. For, you know, we can look at many other afflicted states of mind. But not everybody, like if I have to look at number one, what one do I want to sort of focus on in general, not when it, you know, appears to my mind, not when it's in my mind, but at other times. And then we can do meditations for that as well. You know, so excuse me. Kathleen McDonald in Venerable Sangye Kato's How to Meditate has a section on dealing with negative energy. She calls it, I like that, dealing with negative energy. So it deals with just a handful of the main ones. And they're not always the sort of classic ones, because there's also like, I think she's got fear and depression in there. Yeah, fear and depression. Yeah. So they're not usually in that classic list, but they are very much experienced in the world. And so, you know, there's all different, like half a dozen ways you can approach those. And I find that really helpful, because you might hear one way and think that's never going to work for me. But it gives you different options for how to address that. Yeah. So we can address that in meditation, we can address that in action, you know. And in situations where it's a too hard basket, if we're able to remove ourselves from the situation, like I was thinking earlier about this and thinking, you know, if an alcoholic goes to AA and wants to, you know, get sober, I think you could say get sober, and works towards that, the first thing they say is, don't go out and hang out in a pub or a bottle shop. You know, you're putting yourself in danger zone. So until we're capable of that, if we're able to remove ourselves, say, from the person who really makes us angry or triggers our desire because they're always shopping and bring us along with them, or whatever it is, to say, I'm not quite ready to go into the shopping centre just yet. I'm not quite ready to hang out with them just yet. So, or maybe I never want to, but at the beginning, we remove ourselves from situations. And then, of course, you know, taking one of these dominant toxic emotions, we can remove ourselves in the sense of doing meditation. So before we even try it out in an actual situation, but doing the meditations to work on our mind to transform that negative energy into a positive energy. I mean, to the extent that if we had the opportunity, it says in the text, it says, remove yourself into seclusion. And I always think that means go off on a retreat. If that's possible, do it. But you have to know, you know, how to retreat on that. But I think in reality, as Lama Zopa says, the real retreat is retreat from the afflicted states of mind, from the deluded states of mind, removing ourselves from that. And so there's many ways that we can do that. So then we can also apply the idea of emptiness, that where's this anger that I experience? And you can look at it, you can look at it in your body, you can look at it in your mind. There's lots of things going on when we get angry, you know. So we become familiar with, well, what are the telltale signs that tell me I'm angry before I even know I'm angry, you know? Is it the negative thoughts? Is it the heat rising? Is it the clenched jaw? Is it, like I said, you know, my fists immediately go like that, just thinking about it. Like, I'm not going like that. That's an association of making fists when you're angry. I don't actually think when I am angry, I do, but just thinking about it. And so noticing the palpitations or whatever you notice in your body. So this is not to get you angry. This is to notice, if I'm thinking about just saying the word anger, what sensorial responses are there in my body? And then what sort of thoughts would tell me, oh, I'm angry. So familiarizing ourselves with our own afflictions, not to wallow in them, but to say, aha, that's a danger zone.
I had an experience recently thinking about this thing about seclusion.
Yeah.
Where I was annoyed, I was irritated, and I was getting annoyed.
Yeah.
I realised, like, I don't know what's going on. Something's going on here, but I don't know what it is. You know?
Yeah.
And then it was really useful to just separate yourself out. And then I realised that what was actually happening was something that I thought a fear.
Mm.
So it really changed.
Yes, you say, well, what's underlying this? This is what's manifest, but what's underlying is the fear.
Of some kind of loss.
Right. Yeah.
So I found that was, I couldn't get a handle on what this was, you know.
Yeah.
And I needed that time.
Yeah.
To sort of allow things to just bubble pull away and then present themselves.
Yeah, but your first interrogation was, what's underneath this, right?
Well, the first thing was, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Often I can get oh yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
But I couldn't figure out what this was.
yeah,
So I had to just leave it a bit and allow time for that to,
show itself. Maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And often when I'm writing.
I was thinking about writing just when I was talking earlier and thinking that's a very good one of writing out. Well, you know, writing out what's going on here. You know, is this something? How do I experience this? Is this something familiar? Is this something I do in this situation a lot?
What was interesting, once I touched the fear,
Yeah.
I knew what was for. It did transform, it didn't fix it,
Yeah,
but it gave me a different way of seeing or being or perceiving. I can't exactly name it, but it did change it once I got down to like the bottom of it.
well, you're interrogating it. This is the thing, you're shining the light of awareness on it and saying, what is this? You know, and this is like, if we do an analysis, like I said, about anger, I'm like, well, how do I know I'm angry? You know, not in the moment you're angry, but you know, because we need the mind that is not angry to be able to interrogate. And the curiosity, if you like, what is this? Let me just check out what this thing is. And then, so what you're doing there is you're shining the light of awareness, you're taking things apart a bit so that you realize this. And, you know, another one is actually meditating on impermanence. So something like fear. It's like, well, where did this fear, you know, maybe not where it came from, but was it, what, did I wake up with this, or did it just arise when I was thinking about that, or when something happened, or whatever? And this is not even to get the answer. It's not to do the psychology of it, but just to say, this is not a permanent feature of my mind.
I mean, it hasn't always been.
Yeah, because when we are taken over by strong emotions, it feels permanent. It's like when you get sick and it feels, and then when you get better, you're like, oh, I really was sick, you know, because we just get into that state. And so we're just like, that's really interesting. Well, I didn't wake up like this. So where did this come from? Well, I started thinking about whatever was coming ahead or whatever. And then, you know, it's, you know, for something like fear, and I have no idea of your situation and I don't need to, but thinking, well, if I'm fearful of something ahead, that thing hasn't happened yet. You know, like, you know, just to use an example, my sister's having an operation. Her daughter, my niece was so concerned. She rang me yesterday. She hardly ever rings me. I spoke to both of them yesterday. So my sister's having this operation, and she's a highly, highly anxious person. So I don't know. I got a text this morning and saying maybe in a year's time. And I just think, hold on a minute, it's in 2 weeks' time. So I'm confused. But that sort of fear of, well, she said, you know what I want? And I said, I have no idea. So if she dies on the operating theatre, it's just a sort of regular operation. But, you know, she can die anytime. I didn't say that to her. She's only thinking it might happen with the operation. I said, actually, it could die right now, because then she decide not to go out at all. Anyway, so I said, what do you want? And she said, well, I want to go in a stupor. Will they take all of me? And I said, what about your husband, and what about your daughter? And like, they might want, I'm presuming she wants to speak for, I have no idea what she wants because she's never told me. I'm not going to say it, but I can arrange the stupid thing. But it's that thing, your mind goes to the worst case scenario, you know. And of course you have to prepare. We have to prepare for death at every moment, but maybe it's not such a silly thing. But anxieties, and I know for myself, when I first encountered meditation, I thought, this is the best antidote, shall I say, for anxiety I've encountered, and it's entirely free. Right? Doesn't cost a cent. Well, you know, we're here. Of course, we make donations and want to contribute to this space, continuing to offer those opportunities. But just recognizing the mind that exaggerates. And so this is where we know it's a deluded state of mind, because it exaggerates, lays on top of reality what's not there. So any future projection, we can say, is not actually there. So in the moment, what is happening right now, you know, brings us back to reality.
And well, you were saying something about worrying that something might happen.
Yeah.
But didn't His Holiness have some quote that said, if you can do something about it, do it.
Yes, this is, if you, yes, this came from, yeah, Shantideva's, yeah, Bodhisattva, His Holiness quotes it a lot, Bodhisattva's way of life. If you, yeah, so basically it's about why worry? If you can do something about it, do it. If you can't, don't, at least don't worry about it, you know. And then we think, well, if I do an investigation of reality, I think nothing in the future has happened yet, right? Nothing in the future has happened yet. So if I'm anxious about doing a presentation, say, then of course I'm going to prepare, but then I can relax because I've prepared. It's not like the sky is going to fall down, or the, you know, or what if everyone laughs at me? Well, they'll be enjoying themselves, won't they? Yeah.
I think it just says, do your best. And
Yeah, do your best.
Don't worry about what ifs or anything like that, or what other people think. As long as you've done your best, that's enough.
Yeah. So that there's one quote here as well, just from a different point of view, that so it talks about our, you know, recognizing that these are our real enemies, these are our afflictions, not the one black SUV guy, but our afflictions are the real enemy. And even if someone conventionally, you know, in the world would give us harm, that wouldn't, however long it lasted in this life, it would be done with. But our afflictions will cause us harm lifetimes, lifetimes, lifetimes if we don't deal with it. So there's one quote here in relation to that. If you relate to your enemies with friendship and gifts, so this is like somebody who you don't like, or you feels wronged you, or so forth. And I'm not saying it's easy, but instead to offer friendship, to offer gifts. So there's a particular gentleman Tenzin Palmo likes this story of to tell the story of Saint Therese of Lisieux. So she became a Catholic nun, which is 14, and went into a cloistered nunnery with maximum 30 of them. Immediately there was this one older nun who would make this clicking noise. They sat near each other when they were doing their prayers and so forth. And this really annoyed her because it was random. You couldn't predict when it was going to come. And she found herself avoiding her in the corridors and so forth, but just like, I can't avoid it for 30 years, you know. Well, she didn't know. Actually, I don't think she did. Not 30 years. She didn't last it. She didn't live that long, actually. She had a short life. But anyway, so she adopted this strategy of, well, what does she like? I'll give her something she likes, so that rather than avoiding, of actually turning that around, I think you said before, offering generosity, you know, so generosity of heart, generosity of spirit. And then that brings them benefit, happiness, and so forth. And so so applying this to the afflictions, it's like, well, if you see that your afflictions are the enemies, then if you indulge them, they're going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. They're going to benefit from that. But if you appease the afflictions, hold on, what have I done here? No, that's people out there. If you appease the afflictions, yeah, you're going to have more suffering, more injury. So if you indulge them, basically, or just go along with, yeah, You've got a right to get angry, and all my friends agree. Another thing, this woman at one of the happiness conferences really was very effective. So her name's Tony Powell. She's actually a comedian. And so she's very good at storytelling. And so she used all the wonderful images of bears and things. I can't quite remember how it all worked. But she was telling the story of her friend who was very angry with her boss. They went for coffee. And she was blah, 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 blah about the boss and how dare she, and she did this and this and this and this, and blah, you know, went on. And then her friend says to her, but what did you do just before that? And just before that. So it was called Miss Cruella and Miss Very Nice. So her friend was the Miss Very Nice and the boss was the Miss Cruella. So it was like, Miss Cruella did this and this and this. And then her friend goes, so what did you do just before? And Miss Very Nice realised she had been Miss Cruella just before that. So that thing of realising, okay, what have I done in this situation? So we always want to put it all out there, you know, put the blame onto others. But as it says, as part of this mind training, put the blame onto the one who, even if they did something crazy out there, but it was my self-grasping mind, my self-cherishing wants everything very nice and comfortable. My self-grasping mind, how dare you do that to me? And the big ego jumps up, so that then we're able to interrogate that and work with that. Okay. We've done justice to this first. Oh no, that I wanted to. I know I have to dash off to something else, but we're dashing off this afternoon to Sakyadita, Buddhist women's gathering that we do once every Noongar season. And today we decided we would read some poetry. So I just thought I'd share some poetry. There's one of the students over in Chen Resig Institute, and Peikar is very familiar with. So when we were having the Discovering Buddhism there, when we had afternoon tea, believe me, they had morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea. It was like, excuse me, any excuse. It was just like, okay. But she would read, and I cannot do it justice the way that she would read.
Do some of the jazz singing.
Oh yeah, she would sing, she'd bring it to life. So the book's called Life's a Mango. And then when I was looking at it this morning, I saw, oh, David Mickey wrote, Jen offers inspiring wisdom in directing us how to find joy, the only place it abides, the here and now. So
What was it called?
Life's a Mango. Yeah, she comes from Queensland. So this is called praise. Some people give out praise, like they're handing out gold. They'd rather see bad, speak frank, or then scold. Someone says, you're no good, hopeless, or useless. Do you want to go on? What's the point? It's fruitless. Let's say there's something that you want to try, a hobby or a sport, you spend money and buy. If your teacher can see that you've got what it takes, they'll encourage you now. Success is what makes. When we praise from the heart, the other can hear. They want to excel. They let go of fear. Use words that imply they simply can't fail. It fills them with strength. Confidence will prevail. Keep your face bright. Keep your language clean. They'll keep getting better. You'll see what I mean. If they are struggling or there's a hitch, tell them they'll make it. Their pride you'll enrich. When you convince someone that they're a winner, that's half the battle. Their face is a grinner. Don't punish or force. Don't threaten, cajole. Keep praising their efforts. Know this is your role. Some of the greats, like Dickens and Wells, received praise by others, and so their book sells. If you're sincere and use praise as a tool, what you give to loved ones is like rocket fuel. They'll start to take off. Wow, look at them go, upward and outwards. From your praise, it will flow. The transformation is just so exciting. Encourage someone like fireworks igniting. Takes kindness and wisdom to watch someone flower. Your attitude and words will them empower. Stand back and just watch. You're the wind beneath wings. Your praise and your love, the canary now sings. When we tell them they can, they believe in themselves. Nothing will stop them. They work like Santa's elf. If there's something you love, then show it this way. Use the words of praise and believe what you say. She's got a whole book of beautiful.
And she's a primary school teacher.
Yeah.
As well as a parent.
Yeah, so just sharing the love there. So we'll be having a lovely afternoon sharing the love like that. Okay, thank you very much. We'll dedicate. And particularly if you could keep in mind, Susan Bono's father is in very critically unwell. So we'll dedicate for his best possible outcome. So we'll turn to page 8 and just the first 2 verses. Yewadi nyududa lama sangit yukune drowa chikyam alupa de sala gopa sho janchub sencho grimposhe make panam ge kuchi ge panyampa me payon gone gondu pelwa shu. Next page, the prayer for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So he was offered long life puja yesterday in Dharamsala, and another one coming up this week, different, because His Holiness very recently, he had knee operation as well, so he was doing his rehab in the US and just said to people, I think I'll live to 130. There you go, relax. Okay. Incomparably kind and supreme Tenzin Gyatso, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling joy, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world. May you have a long life and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And a prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, peerless teacher and assembly of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Practica Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, is suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the 3 jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And the long life prayer for Tenzin Usal Rinpoche is actually going to be in Chenrezig Institute in 2 weeks' time. For Chenrezig Institute is celebrating its 50 years of existence, 26, 27, 28 of September. And all the, they said there's going to be 21 Geshis there from not just Australia, New Zealand, Copan. There aren't that many, there's only a handful. So yeah, and so it's bigger than Ben-Hur. They've got all these activities going on. Big Love Festival it's called, because Lama Yeshe Big Love. It's a big celebration because this is the first centre established by Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche outside of India and Nepal. So the first one in the West, as we say. So it's a big celebration. And Gen Sondu's going, yeah.
Yeah.
Geshe Zopa's he's going to be leading a Ganjil Nagam at Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga Bumso, to 100,000 offerings. Yeah, it's going to be wild. Okay, long life prayer for Tenzin Usal Rinpoche, Lord of Dharma, who in accordance with the various dispositions of those to be subdued, makes clear in the light of your well-spoken advice the sacred Ganden tradition, essence of Buddha's teachings. Foremost and holy Lama, to you who are supreme, we make this prayer of supplication. Lama, please, please live long. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, week, moment by moment.